Good afternoon, everybody. Thank goodness it's not raining out right now. It was pretty miserable here last night. The golf course behind my house was underwater. So I want to welcome all our visiting guests today in person and online. My name is Todd Retton. I am the president of the Sugar Land Rotary Club. And this is our 33rd meeting of the 36th year of Sugar Land Rotary. So we're very proud of the amount of time we've been offering service to our community. If you do have a cell phone, if you don't mind, please silencing it. If you are on social media and want to check into our event, check in and hashtag #BeBoldSLRotary and hashtag Sugarland Rotary Rocks. Today's invocation will be by Dean, pledged by Rick, sunshine and showers by Robert, and our four-way test at the end of the meeting is Margie. Margie, it's good to see you. Where are you, Margie? There you go. So if you're speaking, if you come up here, we don't have a wireless mic today. So if you don't mind coming up here.
Thank you, sir. You want to get started?
No, not yet. We'll bring you up in a second if you want to. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And wanted to thank everybody, like Todd said, coming out in the rain. And it's nice to see a lot of wonderful, strange faces. I haven't seen everybody in a long time. And thank God this thing's hopefully behind us, but please bow your heads in prayer. Thank you, God, for everything you have placed before us, including the challenges that sharpen us and make us better servants to you. Please continue to watch over everybody's health, watch over everybody's vocation, and most importantly, watch over the world to make it a better place to live. Amen.
So I think everybody probably in the room knows the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the kind of the standing statue type thing that you do, which is a hand over heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Walters?
Sir, this time, I see we have a lot of guests here today, so I'll kind of explain what sunshine showers is.
Just explain on, because there's guests on the, I said there's some visiting Rotarians online. So.
Come on, Robert. We gotta get rid of the Zoom. Anyway, we have sunshine and showers in Rotary. It's a time where you can share something that's good going on in your life, or maybe a shower in your life, something that's not so good. So I'm going to start it off. I'm going to put $2 in, and I have a, I don't know whether it's kind of a mix between a sunshine and a shower. I'm going to a baseball game this weekend. The shower side of it is we probably won't win, but A&M is playing LSU. We loved our competition with LSU in all sports, so I'm going up there this weekend and enjoy a little college baseball here at the end of the season. Anybody else have anything?
Last Saturday, got to go up to Arlington. My youngest son he graduated, got his master's degree in accounting, and I have no more tuition.
This is the sunshine and a shower. Sunshine is, I'll be 60 years old this weekend. And the shower is one of my goals I made when I was a young man, that I was going to retire by the time I was 60, and I'm still working.
I'll throw in $1. Next week, I get to go to Round Rock, up just north of Austin, for the high school graduation of our youngest niece. We got to go this last weekend. They actually did manage to put on a senior play with a handful of people who were willing to actually perform live and get up on stage. She did fantastic. So it's just nice to see a little bit of kind of normal behavior returning in those contexts. So
Absolutely.
I want to be so grateful for the rain because I fertilized my yard.
You said that a couple of weeks ago.
I do.
You pull out your hand.
I'm using Venmo.
Okay.
But I have a couple of things. Like Bill, my youngest is graduating medical school this weekend, and so I'm off. She's off the payroll. So like Dee, I'm turning 60 this weekend. Oh,
Okay, anybody else?
No.
I don't, okay, that's fine. No.
You get to talk for free.
I'm gonna be like Marge, I'm gonna have to Venmo when I just looked at my wallet, it's empty. I'm gonna Venmo $7. That's how long it took my son to finally graduate from Texas Tech last weekend, so guns up for him. So, yeah. All right, any other sunshine showers? All right, I'm gonna introduce our guests today. I'm very excited to see so many people here. This is really neat. So, oh, we have one more. Okay. So our first guest is from the Richmond Club, Jolie Kahn. You can just stand up and raise your hand. She is the president-elect of that club. So very exciting for her. I met her at a district conference, I think, a couple years ago. So she's going to do a fine job. Our next guest is Eugene Howard. Gosh, Alana, sorry. I already messed up your name. Mike Kahn. Our next guest is Bert Levine. Fine. I probably should get more money for sunshine showers. Our next guest is our guest speaker, which I'll let Mary introduce him here in a little bit. Our next visiting Rotarian is my friend Dominica from the Jamaica Club. Yes, Jamaica. She's online. She's right here. Her and I met at one of the club meetings. You know, I did all the virtual meetings around the country last year, and I probably visited about 20 international ones. So along the way, we have visited each other then, and then she every week will send me an email of all the different clubs to join in. So thank you. Appreciate it. And our last guest is Jason Magan. Yes, sir. Yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, we got Donkey Kong Couple. We're going to pastor. Now one for one.
Oh, sorry. Anybody else? All right. Darla, do you want to come up and tell us who the Rotarian of the Month is?
Yes, I think a soccer walk in to say good morning because we won't embarrass her as bad as we did last week. Okay, so for the visitors, just to let you know what we're doing, every month we choose a Rotarian and spotlight them and love on them even more than we normally do around here. So, so this Rotarian of the Month joined our club in 2018. She owns Sweetwater Dental Studio. She studied at New York University College of Dentistry. She is from Russia. She moved to Sugar Land in 2015. And this Rotarian does a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't even know about. Sometimes I hear all kinds of things that she does. So it's very special to have her as part of our club. And so help me congratulate Bellotta for being a Rotarian of the Month.
All right, so in my video, if you were so kind to watch my video that I do every week, I did announce that we'll be making a grant presentation today. So I'd like to call Ashley, if you can come up. And yes. And I'm going to let Ashley talk a little bit about her foundation that she works for, but I wanted to, on behalf of Sugarland Rotary, I'd like to present you with a grant for $2,500.
Y'all have heard my spiel about the amazing things we're doing before, but I'll kind of go quick for you. So the Cody Stevens Foundation was founded in memory of Cody Stevens. He was a senior up in Crosby High School. He was 6'9", 289 pounds, football player, had a full ride to college on a scholarship, came home, fell asleep in his dad's recliner and never woke up. His parents found out that he had a heart condition that they were not aware of, and about 1 in 300 kids have a heart condition that they're unaware of. A simple ECG test would have detected Cody's condition, and he would probably still be alive with us today. So when they found that out, they started the Cody Stevens Foundation, and many of you might know Scott and Melody, who started the foundation. They're pretty big into Rotary up at the North Shore Club. And since his passing in 2012, they have went into school districts and provided ECG heart screenings and community screenings to youth. So we just had the 9-year anniversary of his passing, and we have screened 141,881 Texas youth. We have donated 79 ECG machines to school districts across our state. Cody's Law was passed 2 years ago, which gives parents the option to opt in to have an ECG heart screening as part of their school physical. And 181 lives have been directly saved by our screenings. So in Fort Bend County, the only school district that does ECG heart screenings for their students is Needville ISD. So because there is this lack of screenings here in our county, Alana, our awesome heart screening director here in South Texas, who's also a Fort Bend County resident, is hosting 2 community screenings for middle school through college students who are in the or can get to Fort Bend County. And our goal is to offer this screening for free. So we're trying to raise $10,000, and this is our first donation to be able to make that for free. We're going to have one screening on July 24th in conjunction with the Sugarland Fire Department, and that'll be at Constellation Field. And then one on August 1st at Crossover Athletics in Stafford. And if anyone's interested in donating, it does cost us only about $20 to do one ECG heart screening. So a very little donation can make a big impact. So this this check will screen about 125 kids in our community, which is pretty amazing. So thank you.
What was the date?
It is July 24th in Constellation Field and August 1st at Crossover Athletics. And I can get out information to that for you guys too. And then if anyone has any questions about heart screening at all, Alana here, like I said, she's our heart screening director. She does all of our heart screenings basically from Waco down to the Valley. So she'll be around for the meeting and she'll be happy to answer questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
If you are interested in making a donation to the Cody Stevens Foundation, let me know or Ganis know, or we'll charge your account and then we can write out an additional check for the foundation. All right, so now I'm going to turn over the program to Mary to introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Armed Forces Week is celebrated in the week leading up to Armed Forces Day, which is the 3rd Saturday of May, which was last Saturday. This is for American service members. It is an occasion to remember past and present services for all branches of the service. It is not a national holiday, yet it is celebrated in many communities around the world, including many military installations. Memorial Day, formerly known as Decoration Day, originally honored Those lost their lives fighting the Civil War. But during World War I, the United States found itself in a conflict, and the holiday evolved to commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars, including World War II, Vietnam, Korean, and lately the Iraq and Afghanistan War. For decades, Memorial Day continued to be observed on May 30th, the date that had been selected for the first Decoration Day. But in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which established Memorial Day as the last Monday in the month of May, in order to create a 3-day holiday for federal employees. That change went into effect in 1971. The same law also made it a federal holiday. Our speaker today, Chris Myers, is not only a Christian husband and father, he is also a veteran of the United States Army and a local advocate for veteran issues. In 2001, he was accepted to Texas A&M University, College Station, where he became a member of the Corps of Cadets. And of course, immediately thereafter, the country experienced the bombing of the World Trade Center and Pentagon. After much prayer and thought, Chris signed a U.S. Army Reserve enlistment contract promising active duty to the United States Army upon his graduation. And he graduated in May 2005. He was commissioned into active service. His MOS, Military Occupational Service, was 35D, which is a technical military intelligence officer. He served with the 519 Military Police Headquarters and the Headquarters Detachment and was deployed to Iraq in 2008. While there in Iraq, his unit was in charge of the overwatch of an area security for a village named Ashraf, about 20 miles northeast of Baghdad. And part of his duties were 3.5 miles outside of the wired area, a checkpoint. He would talk to locals to find out about the various issues facing them in their areas. It was a small forward operating base, and the environment and he worked was very challenging. He ended up injuring several discs in his back and still has pain in those injuries to this day. During the second half of his deployment, Chris and his unit were remissioned to Baghdad, where they took over detainee operations. As a military intelligence officer for the facility, his main job was to keep the facility calm by carefully placing detainees throughout the facility. It was during his deployment that Meyer decided to dedicate his life to Christ. And on Easter 2009, while in Baghdad, he was baptized by the unit's military chaplain. They had constructed a white box out of plywood and filled it with water. That is what was used to baptize soldiers while in Iraq. Towards the end of his deployment in late night of August 2009, his unit came under rocket attack. Praise God, we all came home in one piece. I was able to honorably discharge from the Army and return to civilian life. After returning home, he used his GI Bill to go to law school at the Thurgood Marshall School of Law, which led him to meet his beautiful wife, Jennifer, and they have been married since 2012. He bought a home here in Sugar Land and had their first child in December 2016. These days, Chris uses his energies and skills towards benefiting the veteran community and practicing law. Quote, I spent several years advocating Houston Metro on behalf of disabled veterans. I am proud to say that as of April 2016, Houston Metro is now offering free bus and rail rides to Houston area disabled vets. I still carry many invisible scars and physical pain from my service. But thanks to my military experience and law school training, I have a rare opportunity to understand many of these issues veterans deal with while at war and after returning home. I'm very proud of all I have accomplished in my service, and I try to continue to serve my fellow veterans. Presently, he's a family attorney and past commander of the Disabled American Veterans Chapter in Fort Bend County. Let's extend a warm welcome to Christopher Myers.
Thank you, guys. It's good that I met you on Warpan. Thank you for that warm introduction. Okay, that was my bio. I try not to read my own bio because it brings back a lot of old memories, but it was nice. Mary read it very well, and it was very touching. Thanks again, Mary. Okay, I'm gonna try to, I guess I'm gonna have to be a little shorter for today's presentation. But I'm the past commander of Disabled American Veterans. Part of my law school experience, my military experience, and also facing and experiencing post-war PTSD. I really kind of understood what a lot of veterans are facing. But thanks to my law school education, I was I guess able to navigate the VA on my own, and also help other veterans navigate what's a very complex system. I did become later a claims service officer at the Disabled American Veterans, where I help veterans work up their claims. I was later the senior vice commander, and then the commander of Disabled American Veterans. So that was a lot of fun. It was probably one of the best, most humbling experiences of my life. But okay, so let me, I only have 30 minutes, so I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and get to the point of my presentation. Okay, I've spoken quite a bit at DAV meetings, that's the Disabled American Veterans, do veteran seminars, webinars, all these things. And I kind of get the same questions over again. And so every once in a while I get like an outlier question, but it's not too relevant. So I put together like, I guess, a cheat sheet of what veterans need to know, or what the surviving spouse or the current spouse or dependent children would need to know so the veteran can help themselves or help the veteran. So and I'm just going to kind of run down it, and then I'm going to get into some of the common questions. And when Mary asked me to speak, I think she kind of asked me to do more of a practical presentation on how to help veterans rather than like a 30,000-foot aerial view. So I'm offering a lot of, I guess, not strategic level knowledge, but more like tactical knowledge. Things I wish I would have known 11 years ago. So, okay, so I'm going to just kind of run through some of the most important documents that a veteran would need to be successful. The first one is it's called the SF-180. That's the form you need to get a copy of your discharge paperwork and anything else that's held at the National Archives. This is pre-filing a claim with the VA. This is just getting your documents together. Also, one of the common questions I get is about extended care, long-term care, advanced care, in-home health care, things like that for veterans. Well, that's the next form. That's the 10EC, and I even have a copy of it right here because a lot of our veterans are, I guess during the draft, we have because of the draft, we have a large number of Vietnam veterans and like Korea era veterans. And then once we get into Iraq, Afghanistan, the number of veterans kind of dropped drastically. So we have this large population of aging veterans, but a smaller number of young veterans. So advanced care is something that's becoming more and more relevant, and especially as a past commander, I was probably one of the youngest veterans in the room. But this was a reoccurring issue. So in my handout, I do have some resources about that. Okay, so if you need someone to represent you on your behalf or on behalf of the veteran, there's a form for that. If you want to appoint an individual to represent you, you can do that too, but they have certain accreditation requirements. If you have a veteran that's housebound and the spouse who is taking care of the veteran is experiencing lost opportunities out in the job market, they can actually qualify for what's called aid in attendance. Think of it as compensation for their lost opportunities because they have to take off from their life to take care of this veteran. That's a very important form. Also, the big one is called the 526 Easy. That's the initial form the veteran files to actually request benefits from the VA. And then if the veteran feels, well, maybe they weren't paid at the right amount or they were underpaid, they can actually request an increase and they can use the same form for that. The next form number is for what's called dependency indemnity compensation. That's if you have a situation where maybe a veteran is being compensated at a high level from the Department of Veteran Affairs and they have a dependent spouse, but then suddenly they die. And now that income stream is been severed. So the DIC, the dependency indemnity compensation, is a way for the surviving spouse to basically get paid what the disabled veteran was being paid. And then if they don't qualify for that, then there's also widow's pension, but we're not talking about a lot of money there. Disabled veterans are paid based on household sizes. And so whenever the veteran gets married, gets divorced, has kids, or the kids age out, then they need to update their household size with the VA, and that will dictate where they get, how much they get paid per month. Because remember, the VA pays according to household size. It's consistent throughout the entire process. Another popular form is the statement in support of claim. That's where a spouse can fill out an affidavit saying, yes, my husband or my wife has PTSD and this is what I observed, or yes, they're in physical pain because of their injury. This is what I observed. Also, authorization to release information to the VA for like medical records. And then also one of the last couple ones is what's called non-service connected pension. Maybe a veteran is homeless, but they're not a disabled veteran because something didn't happen in the service that caused them to be injured, but they're still homeless. And we can't have, it looks really bad when we have homeless veterans out there, whether disabled or not. So, or whether disabled because of their service or not. So we have this thing called non-service connected pension. Again, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to help kind of keep them off the streets. And then the last one is what's called IU, individual unemployability. That's where maybe a veteran has all these different issues, but it doesn't quite get them to the highest possible level, which is called 100% rating. IU, individual unemployability, is where they're not at 100%, but the VA takes a global look at all of their issues and goes ahead and pays them at the 100% rate. So that's also a very valuable resource to veterans who have multiple issues, but not quite enough to get to the maximum amount. So it's a way to get them there. A lot of cool things out there to help veterans. And that's why I was really proud to be the commander and educate veterans. Okay, so, all right, some of the FAQs. Okay, so, all right, great. So I told you about all these forms you can get from the VA website, Google, but so what do you do with them? Okay, so you filled them out, you got your medical records together. Where do you take them? You can file online, but again, remember, I'm dealing with a lot of kind of aging veterans. A lot of them are kind of old school. They like to do things on paper. So, remember, this presentation I'm doing is not a strategic level. This is tactical information on how to maneuver through the VA. Okay, well, I'll give you the address. This is where you drop it off. You drop off the paperwork, you get it stamped. That locks in your effective date for back pay purposes. But wait, isn't there, again, but if you would like, there's also a way to file online. And this is also something I educated many veterans about. Okay, so my next question, our veteran comes to me and says, okay, thank you, Commander Meyer, but why did you make me fill out all these paper forms if I can just do everything online? The reason I do this is because, remember, I'm dealing with a large number of veterans, so I have to kind of give them homework assignments to keep them busy and then only come to me once they have a fully developed claim. So the reason I make them fill out the paperwork, even though it's not going to get filed, is because the paper forms basically ask all of the same questions that they're going to encounter when they fill out the application online anyways. So it's a way to help them get organized, get all their information gathered, so the online process goes smoother later. Okay, so the next question is, okay, so we have a veteran, they're disabled, but how do they prove that to the VA? Remember, I only have 30 minutes, so I'm going to talk about, there's three main things they need to be able to prove. 1, 2, and 3. One is the stressor. something physically or something happened to them in the service that affected the veteran physically or mentally. That's stressor, something bad that happened, the injury. Number 3 is present medical condition. Okay, just because something happened to you, but it doesn't affect you today, you have no case, you have no damages. This is tort 101. So it has to affect you presently. But wait, what about number 2? I skipped over that. That's called the nexus. So, okay, so you were injured in the service, you have present medical conditions showing that you're disabled, but how do you blame it on the service? How do you say it's because of the service? Well, you need a nexus, and typically that's your medical records. And that's why I have all these forms up here, like the affidavit in support of claim, all these forms that explain how to gather your evidence. If you want to order your discharge paperwork to prove that you were in the service during a certain time, if any medical records held by the National Archives. This is what you need to, all these forms, I'm not just throwing them out there. These are things you need to help you prove the 3-pronged test: stressor, the nexus, and present medical condition. So, okay, so, but what about veterans like the older generation? They're not really the generation that goes to the doctor for everything. And I'm speaking specifically about the Vietnam veterans. Okay, so they go to Vietnam. We know the Agent Orange herbicide was there, and we know a lot of veterans were exposed to it. They come home, again, not really the generation that goes to the doctor. Unlike us millennials, we run to the doctor for everything. So, and then decades pass and they get older and they start having symptoms of the herbicide exposure of Agent Orange, the cancers, the hypertension, the rashes, the pulmonary issues. But remember, the nexus isn't there. We don't have the medical records. So that's where Congress stepped in and created what's called the presumption, the Agent Orange presumption. If you were boots on the ground over there in Vietnam, or within the immediate territorial waters of Vietnam, that's the Blue Water Act, then you get the presumption. And now you don't need the nexus anymore. You just need to show on your discharge paperwork that you're over there and you have the present symptoms. I never said you were actually exposed to Agent Orange because we don't have to prove that. You get the presumption. You just have to prove that you have the symptoms today and that you're over there. So that's one of the exceptions to the rule. Now, a lot of Iraq, Afghanistan veterans like myself, we were exposed to like burn pits right outside the fob. I remember the smell, the toxics. They're KBR. Anybody work for KBR? Good. They're throwing air conditioners in there, refrigerators, tires, just everything into this burn pit. It wasn't very far from the fob because they didn't want to go very far from the fob. And honestly, I don't blame them. So, but we have all this toxic smoke. Yeah, forward operating base. It's just like a small, it's a small military base with a perimeter usually made out of like extreme, like it's called like large sand, I don't know how to describe it, large sand barriers made out of sand to keep the enemy out and also deflect mortar fire or bullets. But yeah, the forward operating base was, maybe as large as this property here, just with a large, strong perimeter and a strong gate. And the burn pit would be right outside the wire, right outside the fob. And yeah, the smoke would blow over. Now, the problem is a lot of the OIF veterans, a lot of the Afghan OEF veterans are still very young. And a lot of this exposure hasn't really taken effect yet. But I do expect as the younger veterans start to age, there's going to be more and more pulmonary issues. And unfortunately, a lot of them can't really prove the nexus. They can prove they are there, and they can probably prove what fob they're on, and they can prove they have the pulmonary issue today or 20 years from now, but the nexus isn't there. So that's where we think the burn pit, Congress is currently working on the burn pit presumption, kind of like the Vietnam veterans had the Agent Orange presumption. So I expect it's something that's eventually going to go into full effect. That kind of brings me to my question here. So what do you prove and how do you prove things to the VA? Okay, so good. So a veteran comes to me and says, Commander Meyer, wait. So I got my VA benefits approved. Thank you very much. But is there something else? And my answer is yes. VA compensation is based off of the statutory language found in the 38 Code of Federal Regulations, the 38 CFR for short. We call it the Holy Bible of Veteran Disability and Pension. And veterans have remedies, and their surviving spouses, and sometimes their children have remedies under the 38 CFR, things available. And everything from these forms is based off of the 38 CFR. Okay, so, but what, again, that's not I'm not responding to the question. The question is what else is available? Okay, well, let's take a look at Social Security. Social Security falls under the 20 CFR, a completely different body of law, a different rubric. And typically, I think like disabled civilians, they're not allowed to double dip, but actually veterans are allowed to also apply for what's called Social Security disability insurance over there under the 20 CFR. So yeah, if you work up a good case at the VA and you're able to prove your damages and you have the evidence, then yeah, by all means, go over there and see what remedies are available to you at the Social Security office under the 20 CFR. Now remember, any decisions over here are not binding on them over there, and any decisions they make are not binding on the VAs. Different rubrics, different areas of law. So remember, the veteran under the 38 CFR could have 18 years old, no work history, go into Iraq, Afghanistan, get injured, and they get damages under 38 CFR. However, under Social Security 20 CFR, whatever you're paid is based off of your work credits, your work history. So if you have a long work history, you will get paid more under the SSDI versus a shorter work history, you'll get paid very little. Okay, and the reason I say that is because Social Security benefits are available to the veteran and their family based off of the number of the veteran's work credits. Remember, while the veteran served in the military, every month funds were deducted from their paycheck to fund Social Security, Medicare, and whatever other programs are out there. So it's a system they already paid into. So I do want to point out that this is not SSI. SSI is supplemental security income. That's welfare. That's something else. That's means tested. It is not SSDI. So I want to clear up any confusion. And that's something I had trouble with as the commander, as explaining that there's different pots of money over there, and don't worry, it's not the SSI, which is means tested, where you're getting, if you're employed, then you don't get that. But the SSDI is not means tested. The VA compensation is not means tested, meaning if you're able to prove the injury, then you get the money. Okay. So a veteran comes to me and says, okay, thank you, Commander Meyer. I got my VA benefits. I got my SSDI, but I have children at home and money is still tight. What else is there? I was like, well, okay, well, thank you. I would say, well, you need to go to the Social Security office and request auxiliary child and or auxiliary spouse benefits. That's where the disabled veteran, and it's not just for veterans, it can also be civilians, because remember, we're operating under the 20 CFR. They can, if the disabled wage earner, in this case the veteran, has a minor non-disabled child of which they are the custodian and caretaker of, then yes, they can actually increase whatever their SSDI award amount is up to 150 to 180%. So whatever they were entitled to, go ahead and add an extra 50, 80%. So, and now that's if you dependent children at home. And yes, there were members of the chapter who fell into this category, and it was clear. I mean, like amputees. I mean, these were clear black and white cases. Okay, so veteran comes to me and says, "Oh, thank you, Commander Meyer. You helped me with my VA. You helped me with SSDI, auxiliary child, but my spouse earns like $300 a year. I won't qualify for any of these benefits." I say, no, you will, because remember, VA benefits and the SSDI are not means tested. And in case anybody's wondering what I mean when I keep saying the word means test, I included a definition. A means test is a determination of whether an individual or family is eligible for government assistance or welfare based upon whether the individual or family possesses the means to do without that help. So that's for like, means test is for things like welfare. That's where if you have sources of income, then you don't qualify for it. Whereas SSDI is paid simply based on your work history. You can marry Melinda Gates, and very wealthy woman, and it's not going to affect what you receive from the VA or from the SSDI. Okay, so veteran comes to me and says, thank you, Commander Meyer, with helping with the VA and Social Security. I'm very happy. But one last thing, I have an elderly family member who is a veteran and in need of advanced care. What options are available? Okay, and remember, I only have 30 minutes for this presentation. So I figured the only most correct answer I can possibly give you is to tell you that the VA has a specific way to apply for extended care services, residential and nursing homes, long-term care, and in-home services. And every resource, every flyer is available for printout and at the va.gov/geriatrics. And I also, if anybody's curious, I did bring up one of the forms for advanced or extended care. Just if you have any questions for me afterwards, but we start getting into a whole new area of law, especially with all of our large population of aging veterans. But that is becoming a more serious issue every single day. And I'm happy to say that the VA has more or less kind of streamlined the process. So that's really all I have. And I wanted to capture the things that I felt were most important. And when I do these webinars, I talk about educational benefits and things like that. Well, okay, if you have the GI Bill, you can go to the education office on campus and request it. If you, any Texas veterans, like you entered the service and exited the service from Texas, okay, right here, okay, Mr. Right. Thank you for your service, thank you for your service. Okay, so are you familiar with the Hazelwood Act? Okay.
Graduated last week, thanks to mine.
Okay, so the Hazelwood Act, congratulations. Okay, so the Hazelwood Act is an educational tuition waiver. It's not money to the veteran who's going to school. It's a waiver of tuition created under the Texas legislature. So if you were a Texas veteran, you entered and exited the service through Texas, then you get the what's called the Hazelwood tuition waiver. I used it. It's a great program. Now here's the problem: is you can pass it down to the next generation, but and I know every 2 years the Texas legislature is talking about killing the program, and I have to write them. I have to go on YouTube and Facebook and tell them no. But it's still alive. But here's the problem: is a lot of my as a past commander, a lot of the veterans, their kids are grown. They don't go to schools. So, sometimes it is legal to do a grandparent adoption. You can adopt your adult grandkids, and then now they would still get the Hazelwood. So there's always kind of ways to get around it. But yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But most of the questions I get is specifically about the compensation and pension. So any questions? Yes.
Explain combined arms.
Oh, yes. Okay, Combined Arms is a program of which I'm also a member, and it's Combined Arms is many things. It's also a networking organization for veterans. I told them I'm a family law attorney, and they were like, "Great, you're the only attorney here." So yeah, it was great. They threw me some business. It was great. But they're also it's a clearinghouse for all these small veteran service organizations that don't really have the money or funds to have their own building and their own infrastructure. So they're kind of able to timeshare or rent space from, well, not really, they don't pay money to, but they are allowed to use the space at the Combined Arms Building so they can further their programs, further the cause of their nonprofits. It's mostly 501c3s in there, a great organization. It's basically a clearinghouse for all these smaller BSOs that normally don't have the means to have their own infrastructure. Good program. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay, thank you.
In terms of disability, we were recently told we're Pathfinder meeting, so if you're at a certain percent based on which state you live in of disability, your children are able to go to school for free, and obviously 100%. But what threshold is that? Because we're at 20%.
Okay. The tuition waiver is it's not dependent on whether the person is disabled or not. Now, if you do have certain under the old Hazelwood, if you were a disabled veteran, you could actually pass your benefits down to the next generation. But a lot of it was revised where you can automatically, you don't have to have disability status. I can't speak for other states. I can only speak for Texas. Now, there is something called Now, okay, the Hazelwood is a waiver. It's not catch. They're just waiving tuition. And universities hate it because they're losing money. But there's something called Chapter 33 Education Assistance. That is from the federal government. It's like a mini GI Bill for veterans who are individually unemployable or at the 100% rate. And they can actually, it's like $50,000. The federal government will pay like $1,000 a month for every month they're in school, but not to exceed like $50,000. It's the money that's there. There are other ways. If you have like the post 9/11 GI Bill, but you're not a disabled veteran, but you're past the point in your life where you would go to back to university, you can actually, yes, you can pass it down to the next generation. And if the education office gives you any pushback, well, there is the right to call grandparent adoption of an adult. So now your grandkids can now be your kids for purposes of qualification. I hope I answered your question, or I didn't just give you a non-responsive answer. But no, yeah, okay, there's thresholds and like the percentage threshold. The most correct answer I could give you would refer to the statute, and because it changes every few years as the state legislature is trying to save money here or there. So I can't say, well, it's 50% and then 2 years it'll be up or down. Any other questions?
I have an online question.
Okay.
The question is, do you have any suggestions for how children can assist veterans, specifically homeless veterans?
How children can assist homeless veterans. There is the U.S. Vets Homeless Shelter in Houston. I want to bring children who are too young to that building, but they do have Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner there. They do ask volunteers to serve the homeless veterans. I worked in the kitchen a couple of times to serve food. It was a really cool experience. That's one way children can serve. Maybe that's a good project for maybe children out maybe over 12 years old with adult supervision with them. And yeah, throw on a Santa hat and start serving food. It's a lot of fun. That's one way. Also, and if you maybe have a Boy Scout troop or Girl Scout troop, whatever, that would like to do other projects. Well, I don't want to get into political things or anything. But if you have like a youth organization that wants to do something for the veteran community, reach out to the commander, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion. They always have veterans who need their rain gutters cleaned, or too old to get up on the ladder and clean it themselves, or they. We once had a organization of contact me when I was a DAV commander, stem cell researchers. They wanted to do something for the veteran community, so I was like, okay, well, we have a veteran, he needs his shed painted, and they were happy to do it. This veteran, he had cancer, he was dying, and he decided to stop chemo and just go slowly to God. And I was like, well, he was part of his house. And they took that very seriously. I was kind of joking, you can't, throw paint in the petri dish or anything. But no, they were out there with paintbrushes, and they did a good job. It was really cool. But yeah, talk to these local veteran service organizations like Disabled American Veterans. They have a long list of veterans that have projects that need to be done, and they're just not physically able to get on a ladder anymore or lift heavy things. Oh, here's a good one. We are coming into hurricane season. If we are to go into another post-hurricane cleanup, there's a lot of older veterans who need their houses mucked. So if, again, knock on wood, but if something crazy, like a crazy hurricane were to come, we need volunteers immediately. I asked to prioritize the elderly veterans so they're not stuck with black mold in their home or anything. And that was something else I did, because one veteran who was 70 years old, Vietnam veteran, and his whole house was underwater, and his shoulder was bad. He can't muck the house. And yeah, I got a large group of veterans, younger veterans out there we did it all in like 2 days. It was crazy. So that's a big one. Just always be ready.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right. I think I may have gone over 30 minutes, so I apologize for that.
On behalf of Sugar Land Rotary Club, we would like to give you our club mug and flowers from the House of Blooms. Thank you for your inspirational information. I was making a comment at my table. It seems super complicated and very involved to fill out forms and get all that. So I did want to, before I go on to a couple of announcements, I just wanted to recognize if there are any veterans in that room, if you could just stand up so we could recognize you. Thank you for your service. I do have one announcement. Some of you may not know this. Past President Raleigh is in the hospital right now. So if you could be praying for him, Raleigh Jr. Thank you. He is, I can tell you what he has. He's not sure when he's going to get. I've been texting him during the meeting today. He has, let's see. Yes, pulmonary embolism. So just be praying for him if you don't mind. He's not sure he's going to get out today, tomorrow, but anyways, just keep him in your prayers if you don't mind. Before we move to the four-way test, Darla, you had an announcement you wanted to make real quick?
Yeah, this Saturday, there's a 5K, 10K at Constellation Field, and the money goes to Impact Hero. So you can walk it, run it, crawl it. It's a good cause. So the money goes to our, join us.
And Darla, how about your crawfish boil? This past weekend, you had the Rotary tent out there.
I came in third place.
All right.
What time is the run, walk, crawl? 7:30.
But you should register before the register online. Bring it back to her. Pick up your packet tomorrow at 6:20.
So for those that are going to be at our picnic, we can go do the run in the morning, go to our picnic at 11 o'clock. Anyways, Margie, would you lead us in the four-way test of things we say we do?
All right. Please join me in the Rotary four-way test, the things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build better friendships?
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And the Sugar Land fifth.
Will it do me good? Yes.
So everybody be safe, be healthy, be bold, do something different, and our meeting is adjourned. Yes, I was just reminded, if you watched my video last night, we are going to have a tent at Sugar Land Memorial Park for Memorial Day. If you want to volunteer to help hand out waters, I'll send a link out tonight.
One of the reasons they liked me at DME was because I had just worked with my wife's campaign for judge, so I had marketing experience. So I was able to get the message. I was better at getting the message, communicating messages. I have a veteran newsletter. I still do. If you have any flyers that help veterans in Portsmouth County, send it my way, and I'll put it in my newsletter and hopefully get you some more money.
Yeah, that's great. So
yeah, all I ask is give me a flyer and at least give me at least a few weeks notice to start promoting it. It's like an event that's happening tomorrow. It's really no time. So maybe like I'm not trying to say like sure.
I have something. Let me just turn this
Yeah,
off real quick.
yeah, I'll do a lot of constant email marketing.
Good to see you, Julie.